welcome back to the Football Rundown. We're back here with the match preview today as Stockport County take on Burton Albion away this weekend at the Pirelli Stadium. It's going to be an interesting game for Stockport County, of course. Been a little bit of momentum after the last 2 weekends of football in League One for Stockport County. 2 wins in the league back-to-back for the first time since the beginning of the season, of course, when we beat Cambridge, Blackpool and Bristol Rovers in the first 3 games of the season. It's been a good couple of weeks, I think, for Stockport County in the league. You know, it's been nice to go into games feeling a bit more confident again. Obviously, the back of that 5-0 defeat to Wycombe, wasn't going into the Bolton game particularly confident, won that game 5-0. It gave us a lot of confidence going into the Wrexham game, and obviously we got that win, which now gives us increased confidence, I suppose, going into the Burton game this weekend, which on paper is one of the easiest games you'll get in League One this season. But as I've said many times, and I think it's a great quote from someone in football history. Football isn't played on paper; it's played on grass, and I think that that could be the problem for us this weekend. Is we're taking on a Burton team that hasn't had the best start to the season. A lot of people expect them to lose this game, and that might play into their hand. As the underdog. So, as much as County come into this as overwhelming favourites, momentum behind them the last couple of weeks, Burton are also going to offer a little bit of unpredictability as well, because they've changed their manager in recent weeks, and that has seen a little bit of an upturn in results. Obviously, league performances and league results haven't been great, but there has been a little bit of an upturn, as I say, in form with the cup games for Burton Albion over the last couple of weeks since the managerial change, which we'll talk more about in a second. But like I said earlier, Stockport County have won 2 on the bounce with wins over Bolton and Wrexham recently. This weekend is the first away match since facing Lincoln City on the 26th of October. Burton Albion have won just once in League One this season. They've only taken 1 point from a possible 18 against top half opposition so far this campaign. And as I said earlier, Burton Albion remain managerless after sacking Mark Robinson on the 23rd of October following a 3-2 defeat to Wycombe Wanderers. Robinson had failed to register a win during his short time at the club after only being appointed by the new owners in the summer. Saturday sees a return to the Pirelli Stadium for County defender Sam Hughes. Of course, Hughes, age 27, spent 4 seasons in League One with Burton Albion prior to his move to Edgeley Park this season. He won Burton's Player of the Year award during the 22-23 season, so I'm sure he'll have a good reception when he goes back there this weekend, though I wouldn't expect him to start the game, if I'm being honest, on that one. Burton Albion have won 3 of the last 5 matches in all competitions after progressing to the second round of the FA Cup and putting 5 past Northampton Town during a 5-2 win in last week's Bristol Street and Rose Trophy match, as well as picking up their first win of the League One season in their most recent league game, where they beat Shrewsbury 2-0, so they come into this in winning form actually in the league, which isn't great news for Stockport County, but they've also had I think it's almost like a 2-week break since their last game, so well rested or lacking match sharpness. Which one? How do you look at that one? You could look at it from both lenses, I suppose. County have to look at it as sort of lack of match sharpness, but they should be well rested going into this game, which obviously County won't be as well rested with their game last Saturday. So like we just said there, they've obviously had a couple of good cup results in the FA Cup, the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. Their last league game being a win. There's green shoots of positivity there for the Brewers, but if we actually look at their last 5 league games, despite that win over Shrewsbury, they've taken just 4 points from 15, or possible 15. However, they will have some threats to look out for as well. Danilo Orsi scored against County for Crawley Town last season. He finished the League 2 season with 19 league goals and 25 goals and from 50 appearances in all competitions last season. And he started life at Burton in goal scoring fashion too, with 6 goals in 14 appearances so far, and has been directly involved in 8 of Burton's 15 league goals this season. I expect him to be probably the biggest threat that Burton will have to offer against us on Saturday, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. Obviously, like I said, scored against County last season as well, so I'm sure County and Dave Chandler will be well prepared for that one. County have won 2 league games in a row, of course, for the first time since winning the first 3 matches of the season. Wins over Bolton and Wrexham, you'd imagine, would have given us a bit of a base to work from, something to try and build momentum on. I think the thing is, though, it's obviously the results and the performances and the results against the type of opposition that we played, 2 teams that you'd expect to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. But I think the probably the more particularly pleasing aspect of it is the players that have actually come into the team. We talk about the sort of re-inclusion, if you like, of Rydell and Seven Hales over the last couple of weeks. That's been well spoke about how much of an impact and how much of a change has been in County's team with those two coming back in, two players which pretty much were written off. If I'm being honest, probably in the summer. Rydell, you're looking at him thinking he'll get back fit, but how often is he going to play? Seven Hales, a little bit the same, a club legend, loved by the fans, but seems to have that element of it, being injury prone. We weren't sure how much of a future he was going to have, at the football club, with the club, starting to look like they were going to move on in those areas of the pitch. But actually, you look at it, and even though we had 3 or 4 right backs going into this season, none of them have really been fit often enough. So that's given a place for someone else to come back in and play that sort of right wing back role. As for Rydell on the left, Ibi Toure is the only option, and obviously him playing for Gambia against Wrexham, him playing for Gambia when we were playing Wrexham last week, opened the door to Chowana trying to get minutes into Ryan Rydell a little bit before that game, and I think it worked to a treat. I think he's been a particularly pleasing aspect of of the one of the players that's come back in recent weeks for County. So I think it's been really good to have those two come back in. Obviously, Callum Connolly's settled in a little bit better the last couple of games. You could argue he's not maybe been challenged as much though as well. So I think that would probably be something I would still be looking out for there. The games that he's played against Bolton and Wrexham, we've not really had too much of a threat against us defensively in those games. So he has looked better, but he hasn't really been challenged as much, and maybe that's been the difference. Norwood obviously he's played. He's probably his best 2 games in a County shirt over the last 2 weeks. But again, we've not really been pressed as much. We've not really been challenged as much. So we're probably playing in the last couple of weeks how you'd expect Stockport County to play when they're not being pressed. That sort of high intensity press against us when we're not really being challenged much. When teams often sit in a little bit more, it gives us time on the ball, which is probably the last thing that you want to give Stockport County with the players they've got. Oliver Norwood being one of those players with his range of passing, allowing him to have space and time on the ball to dictate play. Not really what you want to do. So I think, have we learned too much about County over the last couple of weeks with the wins? Probably not. We already know that when we're not putting the huge amount of pressure, we can dictate play and we can play well. I think the biggest problem is in games this season, the couple of defeats we have had, it's in games where we've been really, really, really pushed back and pressed from the front from the opposition. That's when we've struggled. So what I want to see from County, and it's been brilliant in the last couple of weeks, the performances and the results, but I want to see County manage to come out on the right side of a game, in a game where they have been pressed and they have managed to try and play their way out. That'll be interesting for me, and I think we'll learn more in those kind of games, to be honest. But obviously it's pleasing when you win games of football, and it does create momentum, it does breed confidence, and you've got to take that going into the Burton game on, as I say, on Saturday now. So yeah, it's good that we've had Norwood playing better, Connolly playing better. Also good to have, as I said, the re-inclusions of Rydell and Seven Hales. Some would say going back to familiarity a little bit with those two, and Hinchliffe coming back in, going a little bit back to the old County, but also getting the best out of Norwood. That's a sort of new player, and Connolly as well. So yeah, I think the team looks more settled, particularly now we've adapted to that 3 at the back a little bit more with the 2 wing backs. I think we're better playing with the wing backs when you've got Ryan Rydell instead of Ibi Toure, because I do like Ibi Toure as a left back, but I think when you're playing with a back 3 and a wing back, you've got to have a player that will run forward a bit more, and Ibi Toure doesn't really do that. So I think that's why we've looked a lot more balanced when you've got 2 runners on each side in Seven Hales and Ryan Rydell, and I think I'd expect to see the same this weekend as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. I think the big thing will be as well, obviously there's a cup game next weekend in the FA Cup at home against Brackley Town, and the interesting conversation will come up again about the goalkeeper. Obviously he's decided to put Hinchliffe in goal the last couple of weeks. He was expected to be a cup goalkeeper at the beginning of the season. He's ended up being coming back in for the big 2 league games of late. I think the interesting thing will be with Corey Adai. Obviously you'd expect Hinchliffe to be in goal on Saturday. Then what happens with Corey Adai, because there's a cup game next weekend, and it looks like at this point in time Corey Adai will end up playing in the cup game, but he surely can't be happy with that. He would have been brought in to be the main goalkeeper, and I think it's something that County will probably have to look at in January, because at the moment it looks like Hinchliffe isn't losing that place, again, a little bit like Cam Connolly. Hinchcliffe's come in and we've done well in those games, but he's not really been tested. We've not had too much to do. So how much of it is Hinchcliffe coming in making a difference, or how much is it, we've just been lucky to play against two really, really highly rated teams, but have actually played really poorly when they've arrived at Edgeley Park over the last couple of weeks. It's hard to tell really, but I don't think Connolly and Hinchcliffe have come in and necessarily had to play really well, and that's not to try to discredit them, but at the same time, I haven't seen Hinchcliffe put under the same pressure that Adai's been put under in games, and Callum Connolly hasn't been put under the same pressure that we've seen him put in games where he wasn't playing very well. So it's hard to tell whether or not he's actually settled in, or he's just managed to not be put under the same level of pressure which we have seen him put under in previous games. So it'll be interesting to see how we respond to a team that does press us highly. I don't know if we'll see that with Burton this weekend, but I'm sure we'll find out as we get into the game. I'm sure we'll know what kind of a game we're in for very quickly. I think if Burton are going to have any chance, they've got to put that pressure on us early on, because that has been when we've looked most vulnerable so far this season. So yeah, we'll just have a quick look at the results from League One last weekend. There are very few results that did come in because of the postponements due to international call-ups throughout the league. So Exeter City and Lincoln drew 0-0. Blackpool Northampton was 0-0. Bristol Rovers and Crawley was 0-0. A lot of 0-0s here. Cambridge 1-1 with Barnsley. Good result for Cambridge, I think, particularly at home. Stockport County obviously getting the only win in League One at the weekend over Wrexham. Big game, big result for County. And of course, league table is how it stands at the moment. Stockport County just a point off Wrexham, who they beat at the weekend. Wycombe Wanderers still in that top spot. Birmingham have dropped off probably a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Barnsley and Lincoln are the other two teams in those playoff positions. Mansfield just outside. It's taking interesting shape, that league table at the moment. You can see in the bottom half of the table as well. Burton Albion with just that one win so far this season. They'll be looking to try and get a couple more points on the board. But yeah, as it stands, just one win for them, and they currently sit 23rd in the table. Now, of course, we've got the League One fixtures coming up this weekend as well. We've got 3 half-12 kickoffs, I believe, with 2 of those on the Sky Sports Plus. Bolton Wanderers against Blackpool could be a good one. Stevenage against Leyton Orient as well. 2 teams of which were both promoted to League One from League Two during the 22-23 season. And then, of course, the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Barnsley, Wigan, Burton being against Stockport County. But some interesting ones here. I think Huddersfield Town against Charlton Athletic could be a good one, as well as Lincoln City against Wycombe Wanderers. That's probably the best one overall in League One this weekend coming up. If you're neutral looking at it properly, that's got to be the biggest game in League One this weekend. A very good game, and certainly one to look forward to. It's a shame that one's not been picked for Sky in a lot of ways, to be honest. But yeah, some good games coming up, and of course, Stockport County do travel to Burton Albion at the Pirelli Stadium. So we're going to go into team news now. I typically do what I think Challoner will pick and then what I would go with, and I think we're going to do the same, but there's not that much of a difference this weekend, if I'm going to be honest, as I think Hinchcliffe will go and goal. I don't think there's too many surprises there. I think he's obviously been the goalkeeper the last couple of weeks in the league. Challoner's put his trust back in him. Or did he ever lose that trust? I'm not sure. Maybe is it distrust in Adai, or is it trust regained in Hinchcliffe? I think it's probably trust lost in Adai. I think he'll go with a back 3 again. I think we've really started to understand how we want to play in that back 3 now. I think at first I was a little bit questionable about it, but as I said earlier, with those 2 wing backs coming in, making runs forward and also bringing real width to the team, I think that's helped. So a back 3, Horsfall, Ethan Pye, and I think he'll go with Ibitore, who will come back, I think, for this game. Whether that's the right decision, whether or not he should put Connolly back in that back 3 after his recent performances, or given how the team have played with him in it, he's not really put a foot wrong, so you could argue that he should be in that team. But I think he'll go with Ibitore just for his experience and the fact that he is one of Challoner's favourite players, I think. So I think he could play left-sided centre-back with Ethan Pye coming a bit more central, potentially putting Horsfall central, but I just think he'd probably have him on the right-hand side, add that back 3. I think he'll obviously go with Rydell, Salvin Hales as the 2 wing-backs. Norwood and Bate in central midfield, Will Collar slightly further ahead, and those 2 strikers, like I said last week, pretty much picks itself at the moment with the lack of competition really from Tanto Alafi and Mellon, of course, who is injured. So there's the team that I think Chalna will go with. This is a team that I would probably go with. Not too many changes at all. In fact, the only change is I think that Callum Connolly should come into, well, stay in the team, come into this team. However you look at it, I think he should keep his place. Ibi Toure should have to earn the right to get back in because, well, so I'm not entirely sure that Connolly's improved as a player. I just don't think he's been tested as much over the last couple of weeks. That's the opportunity to see, has he improved or is he going to be tested? I want to see if he comes through it the other way. So I think Ibi Toure's got to earn his place back. Connolly hasn't put a foot wrong, so why drop him? But also it's an opportunity for him to prove that he has improved as a player. If we play him, we'll find that out. So yeah, that's what I would go with. To be honest, just the one change from what I think Chalna will go with anyway. So yeah, looking forward to the game. I do expect Stockport County to win the game, to be honest. But in fact, just before we get on to that, we're also going to talk a little bit about Louis Barry because there's been an article that's come out this week about him potentially going to Tottenham Hotspur and also interest from Leicester City as well. So I'm going to get people's thoughts on that. That's an interesting one, of course. Obviously, brilliant goal against Wrexham last week, and when you score against Wrexham, it's going to get more coverage and more media talk than scoring a goal against any other team in League One. But that inevitable interest in the game and that inevitable talking point from a brilliant goal from Louis Barry has sparked rumours, and I think it is only rumours that Louis Barry could potentially be looking at going to Tottenham Hotspur or Leicester City, somewhere in the Premier League, which is an interesting point. I don't know if there's too much to that rumour, to be honest, but some people have said 12.5 million, which I think is a lot of money for a player which, if you look at it, before coming to Stockport County, hadn't really done the business, and even now he's never done a full season at County where he's shown that consistency over the course of a season. I think he's got it in him. In fact, he's had a even better start to this season than he did last season. So yeah, he's doing very, very well, and Dave Chalna spoke very, very well about him after the game on Saturday as well, where he talks about his maturity as a sort of footballer. It's not just about when scoring goals; it's about what you do in the games or moments in the game when you're not scoring goals. How are you contributing as a player? So I think that Chalna's really concerned about helping him develop as a player, becoming a more rounded player, and I think he is doing that at County this season as well. I think he is improving every week on that side of the game, but of course he still has it in him to score fantastic goals, which I think he does. Almost all the time. I think he'll have I said it last week. I think he'll have a goal show of his own come the end of the season. He's been that impressive from the goal so far this season for County, and of course there will be interest in him. Do I think he's going to go to the Premier League? Do I think Tottenham are going to spend 12.5 million on him? I don't, to be honest. It wouldn't be completely out of character for a team like Spurs to do that because they have signed players from the lower leagues before. I think Dele Alli was one of those. Ryan Sessegnon was one of those. I think they even signed, was it Jack Clark a couple of years ago? They have signed players from the lower leagues, and some of them have worked out, some of them haven't. But is Louis Barry going to be the next one? I'm not too sure. What I would say is, if Spurs were going to genuinely have interest and spend that kind of money on him, I think Aston Villa would have something to say about it, and I think they would probably look at having him in their team instead. So yeah, hopefully Louis Barry does stay to the end of the season. What happens beyond then, I think, is pretty much out of County's control. I don't think we'll see a third season with Louis Barry, to be honest. I don't think we could afford to buy him. I don't think Villa would see the point in loaning him back out to us again for next season. So I think we've got to enjoy him this season. I think he can help us a lot this season. And as I say, hopefully he stays for the full season. So that's my thoughts on the Louis Barry situation. I don't think he'll get that big move to Spurs. I do think he'll stay there for the course or for the rest of this season, and I hope he does. So I just want to get people's thoughts on that one as well. But yeah, back on the game this weekend, I'm optimistic. County should really win this game. Burton, as I say, just one win all season in League One. It hasn't been brilliant for them. I suppose you could argue there's been a little bit of a new manager bounce, but I don't think that should be enough to affect Stockport County going into this game. Momentum's behind us now. We've beaten two bigger teams already, albeit at home, and it is our first away game in almost a month. But I think we've got that confidence back on us now, especially if Chalna picks that the kind of team we've seen over the last 2 weeks. I think that would be I think picking the same team that we've had for the last 2 weeks would go a long way to us getting a good result this weekend, and hopefully, as I say, continuing and building a little bit of a run, which I think we can put together. I think we need to put together. So yeah, I'm going to go with Stockport County to win this game. I'm going to go with a 3-0 score prediction for Stockport County. So I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think will be the outcome of the game at the weekend? Who do you think Chalna will go with? Who do you think the goalkeeper will be going forward as well? What happens with Corey Adai? I'm sure, we keep asking this every week, but I want to get your thoughts on that. What's actually going to happen with Corey Adai over the next couple of weeks? Do you expect him to start the game in the Cup next weekend? I want to get your thoughts on Louis Barry as well. I think we've pretty much covered everything there. So, yeah, do get your thoughts in the comment section below. Do like the video if you've enjoyed it. Do subscribe if you're not already, because we are trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. We're currently on around 930, so we're close, but we're not quite there yet. So if you aren't subscribed and you watch regularly, or if you're new, do subscribe, because it goes a long way to helping support the channel. And hopefully everyone's enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Match vlog will be up on Saturday night as usual. So yeah, thanks for watching.